Trump's approval rating is down 5 to 7 points across 4 of these big polls. Gender is a lot more complicated than they would have you believe. 2 to 1 people are upset about Musk having such a prominent role in the government.
Let's hop into Fox News The Five, where lone liberal Jessica Tarlov exposes the unpopular nature of Musk and Trump, where they pretend they have a mandate, signaling the end to this honeymoon phase that MAGA was hoping for. So be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This helps us out a ton, and we'll be back after with the context.
This huge drop in support for President Trump and for Elon Musk and what he's doing at Doge. So there were a bunch of polls that came out. CNN has 2 to 1 people are upset about Musk having such a prominent role in the government. Trump's approval rating is down 5 to 7 points across 4 of these big polls. He's underwater on managing the economy, which is obviously what handed him the presidency, 8 points underwater. And then in terms of how the public is feeling, not only reflected in those numbers, did you see those town halls that were going on last night? So Rich McCormick in Georgia, safe seat, people booing him, catcalling. They're concerned with everything from spending cuts to what's going on with Doge to that Donald Trump is becoming a tyrant. Cliff Bentz in Oregon, similar reaction. This guy, Tony Balderson, he's in a Trump plus 18 district in Ohio, saying Trump's executive orders are getting out of control.
Exactly. This mandate that they pretended so heavily existed is completely fake. And how Musk said they're just doing the will of the people seems like a complete lie as well. This authoritarian Trump is the state, you can't disagree with the state kind of line that MAGA is running with, where America voted for this, also seems to just not bear out with reality. Doge is not only more unpopular than the agencies it's trying to cut, more Americans think it should be eliminated than the agencies it's trying to cut, like USAID, like the Department of Education, like the CFPB, etc. So if they're really doing the will of the people, here's the chance to prove it. And in Doge, America rejects it. Or are you only in for things you see fit for your own best interests and you want to sell that as the will of the people? It turns out when you lie about what you're going to do on the campaign trail, then install the richest man in the world to take over our government with no oversight while ignoring the things you ran on, America really doesn't like it.
They are hearing from the American public that what is going on from the Oval Office to CPAC, which is, Pam Bondi being at CPAC seems like a politicization of the office, to say the least, is not what the American public wanted. They wanted someone to come in to get the economy back on track. That hasn't been happening. They wanted a different vision of getting rid of illegal immigrants. They wanted people who are actually convicted of crimes to be the ones getting kicked out, not just picking up anyone who speaks Spanish. So that's what Carville's saying, and I think it's good strategy.
This is why Trump has historically low polling numbers, coming into office underwater as the first president to do so in history, breaking the historically high disapproval rate record that he set in his first term, and he's only continued to drop since he's been in office, now dropping on things like how he's seen on performing and fixing the economy, which is literally what got him elected. This is the same mistake that Republicans always make, so I welcome them to do it again. They do these massive tax cuts, crash the economy, send us into recessions. Democrats have to come in after, clean up the mess, fix it, set us back straight. Republicans then blame the effects of their mistakes on the Democrats that obviously carry over, and then they get back into office as a result on the economic fuel that maybe they'll do things differently, but they're terrible on the economy, historically far worse than Democrats, so they come in, they have no actual solutions, and instead pretend that they have this mandate to do all this unpopular things that cost them in the very next election cycle. 41% of those deported have no criminal records. Remember when it was only going to be the worst first? Americans are being harassed from this just for being brown. Egg prices are not dropping. Stock market gains have halted. The American people are feeling this. This is why even Republicans in deep red states are being called out by their voters. It's real. The regret is real.
The problem with some of these executive orders as it pertains to gender is that gender is a lot more complicated than they would have you believe. Like, one of Trump's lawyers was in court with this federal judge, Judge Reyes, and said, there's men and there's women. It's just about male and female. And the judge said that's actually biologically incorrect, that there are 30 examples of types of intersex people. So not everyone is XX.
Well, what does that
It's
mean?
not
What is that?
intersex. Well, you say it.
You have both.
You have both? It's such a rare exception. It doesn't even.
That's
It's
exactly
No,
the point. It's just like the transgenders trying to compete. There's like 1%.
First off, intersex is just as common as being born with red hair. If we made a law that ended up discriminating against people with red hair, would we use the same logic to justify it? Like, oh, it's an exception. Like, also, intersex doesn't just mean you have both in terms of, you know what. It turns out even sex is complicated and not the rigid binary that people want you to think it is. Conservatives specifically. Of these chromosomal combinations, there's over 30. So it's not as simple as XY or XX. There's androgen insensitivity, where people born XY their bodies don't respond to testosterone, so they have external female characteristics. A 5-alpha reductase deficiency that can lead to an XY male to have female genitalia. So even sex is complex and not binary, but gender even more so. The problem is, if we only teach this, which we do, is in the lower grades, we only teach this very basic, generic, general level explaining of this, male, female, sex, gender, right? And most people don't ever learn any further about it. So many people, literally, like Americans on average, have like a 3rd grade literacy level on sex and gender, where they think they're the exact same thing. They think male and female are the only sex. They think that these things are black and white, that you're either born one or the other, when anyone who's learned anything past grade school will tell you these things kind of work more so on a spectrum. They're not really rigid, and the people arguing this kind of transphobic nonsense definitely are not the ones with degrees in science. Hey you, yes, you, we now have a Substack website where you can help support the channel. For just $8 a month, you can get daily articles exposing the chaos in Trump's first 100 days, a weekly podcast, and other exclusive perks, all while helping the channel grow and defend democracy. This is something that's not just very important to me, but enables us to get our message out to the most amount of people, while also being just a genuine passion that I would love to pursue. So for those who have been wondering how to support the channel, how to help us grow, you can sign up now at the first link in our description. Thank you, and let's get back to the video.